Morning guys, Dr. Ken Nordberg here with a little different seminar today. We'll be getting at another one in a little bit here, but yesterday I bought a pair of hiking boots. And you know what, I went through a lot to finally decide what boot to buy. And I decided, I'll give you a little advice about buying boots. You can go on the internet and just type in on your Internet Explorer hunting boots, and my gosh, are there a lot of boots for sale nowadays, and they range in price from $30 all the way up to $500 and some dollars. And what I was looking for is some hiking boots. And the reason I wanted hiking boots is that I spent a lot of time in the woods doing research. And this fall, this weekend, my son John and I are going to head north for a couple of days just to put out trail cams and exchange some cards and a couple that we sent out last April. And they've been there all that time, but we got some spots that I consider to be really, really good stand sites for taking a buck. And I want to put one on a couple of those, just to see if I'm right. And that's a good thing to do, I think, so I'm going to set up someone at those particular stand sites, rather than going the other way. Most guys, they'll put them out just any place in the woods, and then when they find one plot where they see a big buck, they say, oh, now I got a good spot to hunt a big buck. Well, now that doesn't always work the way you plan. So I'm going a different direction. Pick the site first and then check it out with a trail cam and see what I see there. Well, enough of that, but I'm talking about boots. But I do a lot of research with whitetails and black bears and wolves in my study area near the Canadian border in Minnesota. And because I hunt about as far north as anybody in the United States, except in Alaska, when we hunt there in November, we got really serious winter weather. And we've had temperatures as low as 27 below up there. We get a lot of below zero temperatures during our November hunting seasons. And a lot of snow and that sort of thing. And I spent a lot of time trying to find just the right hunting boot. Now, when I'm getting old, now I'm 86 now, I'm thinking nowadays in terms of light boots. When I first started hunting deer, there were no light hunting boots. In fact, the only hunting boots you could buy when I first started were all leather, high top boots, lacing all the way up, or packs. And on those leather boots, boy, you had to grease them up really good before hunting season with neat's foot oil or mink oil, something like that. It stunk. But they had to grease them up really good so they would stay dry during the hunting season. And almost always, by the third day, that leather was wet. And then you could never get them completely dry again during the hunting season. And so they were uncomfortable, and they freeze feet. And I always, frozen feet were just part of the game of hunting deer back in the old days. Well, things started getting better, and a couple of years ago I made a little seminar about buying hunting boots. And I got some insulated boots, and I was kind of proud of them. They had 1,000 grams of insulation in them, and they were lightweight, and they were kind of made like these boots. And I love them. They're the best hunting boots I ever had. I have never had cold feet while wearing them, and all I do is wear a light pair of cotton socks inside of them, and boy, they just keep my feet so comfortable, and they're comfortable to wear, and it's easy to walk. They're lightweight, really great boots. Well, I hate to use those boots at other times of year, like in the summertime or fall, when it's not cold. Seems like that's too much of a boot to be wearing in warm weather. And so I wanted to find some boots that would provide the comfort of wear and be lightweight and provide support for my ankles, especially because the country that my study area is in is rocky. That's Canadian Shield country. And there's boulders and rocks all over the place and steep hillsides, and we're walking along edges, steep hillsides and up and down and that kind of thing. And that ankle support and good traction are kind of important when traveling around that area. This weekend we'll be up there for 2 days, but I got 2 more trips, 4 days each coming up before the hunting season begins. And that's going to be a lot of time spent in the woods and a lot of tramping around and miles of travel in that rough country. And I didn't want to just keep wearing my good insulated boots for that work, so I decided I need some lighter ones for, warmer temperatures. I've learned over the years, in the past several years, that there's a ton of boots out there. And the kind I wanted to be, to wear the kind of terrain that I just told you about in the area that where I hunt might be quite different from where you hunt. And so what I thought would be the best boots for what I want to do might be quite different from what you want. And the point is, I'm not trying to tell you, you gotta have these. No, I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is that there are a lot of boots out there, as I started to say, but not all of them are really terrific boots. I hate to say that. And even the really expensive ones aren't necessarily the kind of boot that you're going to be wearing for 30 years. I don't need a 30-year boot at my age, but if I can have some that will last me 10 or more years, that'd be just right. That's all I need. And perhaps these could last a lot longer than that. The way my good hunting boots with the 1,000 grams of insulation, are going, they're going to last a long time. So, because I knew all boots aren't great, I wanted to look at reviews on the internet of all the boots I would consider, just the kind of boot I wanted. And I learned there's hunting boots and there's hiking boots. And even hiking boots, my gosh, the kind of money that you have to spend for hiking boots that are really good is amazing. Geez, and then I look at the kind that they're talking about, and they're warm weather boots for maybe in Colorado when it's 50, 60 above zero and going up rocky trails, but develop trails. And I said, well, I need stuff for off-trail. And I don't want to spend that kind of money for boots. So I was going through all these things and checking reviews, and there were boots like this, and so often what some of the reviews revealed is that the rubber sole, on a boot like this would start coming off of the boot part of it itself, And people were complaining about that. And some of those boots were really expensive that they were complaining about doing that. But then instead of looking at hiking boots, which is what I want, as hiking boots, I went to just hunting boots and see what I could find there. And finally I checked one of our outfitters. They call themselves the world's largest hunting outfitters. I can't even tell you the name. There's things I can't do on YouTube, but they're the largest, and sometimes they have a bargain. In fact, that's where I bought my insulated hunting boots, and it was a bargain. They'll have boots that are marked down in price. So I went to that and looked on hunting boots, and the first boots I saw were like this, only they were all leather on top. And they were marked down to $39.95. And I checked the reviews, and the reviews didn't seem so bad. And I thought, my gosh, I'm going to stop by there. I was out hauling. I had a big, enormous part of a tree in my yard, go down and cutting it up and hauling it to a place where I could get rid of all the brush and stuff. And not far from this outfitter. So I stopped over there yesterday morning. and went up there, up to the boot department, and they said, no, I told them what boot they want. So, well, we don't handle those anymore. But they're on the internet at a certain price, $39.95. And so they checked on their computer, and sure enough, there it was. But they said, then the lady that runs the department, she said, you don't want them anyways. I've had a pair of those for a few years now, and I can't stand them anymore. They're going in a garage sale this fall. She says, I got a lot better boot for the same price that I think you're going to like. And I said, well, okay, all right, let's take a look at those. And she come out and she said, what size do you want? I said, I want 12. I said, usually I get, when I buy them a little larger because all these boots made in China are always too small for the same size that you buy for American-made shoes. So she came back shaking and said, no, the biggest I got right now is 11 and a half. I said, well, let's give them a try and see how they fit. So she brought them out and I put them on and it was perfect. And gee, they felt comfortable. And the reviews from people who own them said they were comfortable right out of the box. They didn't even need it to be broken in. Well, I wouldn't say that's quite true. I think I got to wear these a little bit before I start using them to make sure they're broken in. And I'm not sure what broken in means. It means the boot changes so it fits your foot better, or does your foot change to fit the boot better? Probably somewhere in the middle there. But they are really comfortable boots, and the tops are padded nicely so they don't dig into your ankles, and they're easy to get into. They're 100% waterproof, and I thought that's really nice. But then, you know, you look where the tongue ends, you know, it's attached to the boot, and the tongue here ends right here, so you probably don't want to walk in water any deeper than 4 inches to keep your feet dry. You know, when you get over that and you get water inside, that's not waterproof anymore. But but they were really comfortable and lightweight. Geez, I can walk all over the place. I've been wearing them for a couple of days now, and I haven't hiked with them yet, but I'm going to do that before the day's out. And so I'll be ready to go by this weekend because I'll be traveling quite a bit in really rough terrain this weekend, and but I'll be wearing them. But the point I'm making is, before you buy a boot nowadays, go to the internet and check them out. Figure out what kind of boot you want and write that into your Explorer and see what you get and go through them. And be sure to get reviews. And don't just depend on the description provided by the manufacturer. They're all wonderful on those descriptions, you know. Most wonderful boot you ever had, but you got to get reviews to look at reviews before you decide, because you can spend quite a bit of money today on a boot and later find out they're terrible. You know, it just doesn't work for you really well. So check first and do that. It's worth the time, and you save some money, and maybe you can return them, you know, but you don't want to have to go through all that. Get some good boots right from the outset by checking them out on the internet and checking the reviews. Now, not all the reviews are great, even on the best boots, like I said. Now, one guy complained about these boots. He said he wore out the soles in 2 months. And nobody else mentioned anything like that. I said, how in the world would you had to be doing something pretty different to wear out those soles in 2 months. I can't imagine me wearing out these soles in years and years, because, you know, I don't wear them every day. I don't wear them to work every day. Maybe this guy will wear them there. Maybe he works in a quarry or something, is on rough rock all the time and that kind of thing. But if that's all you got to complain about, the rest of the boot turned out to be pretty good. Now here's another thing. You know, when I talked about the boots I bought a couple of years ago on YouTube, I got all kinds of letters from people, emails, wondering what kind of boot they were. And, you know, because I'm not in the business of trying out everything that comes on the market and testing them to see if they're good for deer hunters and that kind of thing. I don't do that kind of thing. And because I can't put logos or explain what make of boot or whatever product I like to use on the internet, I can't just come out and tell you who makes this boot, what brand they are, and what model they are. But if you're really interested in that, send me a message on email. My email address is k.nordberg@comcast.net. I have several emails, but use that one, k.nordberg@comcast.net, and I'll give you an answer exactly what kind of boot this is and the model and that kind of thing. I think too, it wouldn't be smart to just order boots on the internet. It would be much better to go wherever you get your boots and try them on first and walk around in a store to decide. Because when you buy boots for hunting, that's boots forever, and they're the kind you want. You want to be really comfortable with your boots, and they want to fit properly and all that kind of thing. So I think rather than order them on the internet, you should go to wherever they're available, and you can check. There could be quite a few stores where you live, in the region you live, that sell that particular boot. So good idea to check it out personally before you buy them. Yeah, well, speaking of that, I've got a hunting buddy. He's got size 15 feet. And he's had an awful time trying to buy boots. And he found some finally here and there that were that size, but they were made in China. And he ordered them in the mail, had them delivered to his house rather than going to the store. He would have had to travel 100 and some miles to the store with the particular brand that he seemed to like the best, but in each case there was something wrong with them. They didn't last, or they didn't fit because they were smaller than they were supposed to be because they were made in China. And he never did find a boot that was comfortable by buying them on the internet. So it's a good example of why it'd be much better to go wherever you have to go to decide what you want. It'd be worth the extra time and money to do that. So, because you don't want to have sore feet or wet feet or whatever when you're out there during the deer season. And in my case, I'm going to go up on one day for the hunting season in November, and I'm not coming out of the woods for 2 weeks. I don't want to have bad boots during that 2-week period. Make your life miserable the whole time. So no, take your time. But they're nice boots. So anyway, with that, enough about boots. And the other thing is, deer hunting season starts this month. Bull hunting season. There's people hunting deer already now, whitetails. And so if you still haven't learned what I've been teaching people to do to take mature bucks every year, don't you think it's time you learn now? Do you want to be another one of these guys that only gets 1 or 2 really big bucks for the walleye in a lifetime? Wouldn't you rather be a guy who gets a really nice mature buck every year? Well, it's time you learn those things. So get my book, The Test Edition of Whitetail Hunter's Almanac, and order that soon. And if you go to my website, Dr. Nordberg on deerhunting.com. You can even get a copy of one of my previous smaller Whitetail Hunter's Almanacs, each one covering different subjects depending on the research I was doing at the time that I wrote those books. You can get one of those free along with a tent. So that saves you $10 right there. So do that. Be sure to hit that subscribe button down below there. Subscribe only takes a minute, doesn't cost you anything. It's a favor for me, and also the thumbs up button if you think you like what you heard here now. Hit that too as well. Thank you. All right, gang, I'm going to say goodbye now. I got another seminar coming up here, and we'll see you soon. Be sure to visit my website. Here's the link. Here you'll find links to my blog posts, my Twitter account, my YouTube account,
my Amazon store with links to my ebooks, my son's eBay store, a money saver if you're ordering from Canada or other countries, my website bookstore, and much more.